Hello world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to this video. So in this video I would like to talk about YouTube and why I think YouTube is such a great place for modular synth artists and musicians or creatives in general, and how I really think that this is the best place to be, you know, releasing your music or trying to get some kind of traction with what you're doing, and how that compares to maybe the traditional way that things were done in the past and how the music industry has changed over the last few years. So if we think about, go back say 20, 30 years, if you're a musician or you're in a band or something, similar to myself when I was much younger, then you would probably, you'd get together, you'd find some like-minded people, you'd get together in a rehearsal room and you'd write some songs, you'd practice them and rehearse them, get them ready to go. You might record a demo, you might send that demo off to see if you could get some interest from labels, or you might send a demo off to venues to try and get gigs. You'd play some gigs. There'd be some people in the audience that would be interested in what you're doing perhaps. They might try and seek you out and listen to your music further. There might be some people in the audience that enjoy your music and they want to buy a CD or something like that. Maybe listen to you on MySpace. No, let's go further back. Forget MySpace. But yeah, they might want to buy a CD. If there's enough interest, you might get booked on a support slot for a bigger band. And so on. And there would be, some kind of natural progression that if you just kept going and kept at it, eventually you've got a strong chance of some sort of success in the music industry. However, I'm not sure that is the case anymore. I'm not sure that there really is that, that appetite for bands, and for audiences to go and watch bands in the same way that there was in the past. Well, not necessarily the appetite. There probably is still the appetite, actually. I'm just not sure that the opportunity is there as it was in the past. Is the opportunity there to have any kind of sort of longevity of career or success, as may be, in that sort of traditional route? I don't think there is. And I think what has happened instead is that we have now a music industry that has been sort of subsumed into a social media industry. And if you want any sort of success as an artist or a creative in any way, then you have to do that through social media. And then what we're faced with is the idea that actually that creative output that you are producing is not really the product. It's not the thing that people are going to be interested in. They're more interested in the social media aspect, in you, the personality, and really, instead of the social media being there to support the music is there to support the social media. The music is part of the content that you have to create, which attracts people to your, for want of a better word, brand. So if I think now about, if I wanted to go out and play a gig, I think I would find it very difficult to find venues that would want to, well, first of all, that would want to have the type of music that I play. It might be different if I was in a band, but certainly venues where there would be a significant audience of people. However, I could put a video on YouTube, and if I think back to sort of the earlier days of my channel when I first started out and I was just doing instrumental videos, I would put a video on, and even more recently when I've put instrumental videos on, I would put a video on and I would have anything from between, I don't know, 50 to 150 views on that video, which is not great really for YouTube. We think in terms of numbers, that's pretty bad. All right, 50 to 150 views is bad. But imagine if you had 50 to 150 people watching you at an event. You'd think, oh, actually, this isn't too bad, is it? I've got a reasonable number of people here. Well, what if you put a video on YouTube and you get 1,000 people watch that video? Well, 1,000 people watching you at an event would be quite a large event, wouldn't it? So the opportunity for exposure is much greater on something like YouTube than it is in real life. And the opportunity to get those kind of performances in real life at events and so on is probably fairly few and far between for most people. So what does that mean? Well, I think what it means is really, if you are interested in having any sort of lasting success or career or exposure within music, you need to be doing something on social media. You need to be doing something consistently on a platform, and I think YouTube is a pretty good platform for that. However, there are issues around that, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So does anybody disagree with that point? I mean, that's the first thing. We're in a world now where physical performances, physical gigs, physical releases are the minority for most underground bands. So I'm not talking about big artists now. I'm talking about small bands who are trying to get a foothold in the industry. Okay, and that's really what I'm talking about. The lower end of the ladder, so to speak. Okay, if you're halfway up the ladder or you're at the top of the ladder, that's a different thing. Okay, because you've already gained the exposure, probably from an earlier point in time when the music industry was different to how it is now, and larger artists have already got that level of credibility. They've already developed that level of credibility in the past, but it's much harder for new artists and new bands to do that nowadays. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about developing some kind of credibility, because someone's going to look at your name or who you are and think, oh, I don't know if I'll like that or not. I'm not going to fork out £5 to go down to this venue and watch that gig or whatever. But if you're there on YouTube, somebody will, out of curiosity, easily click on a thumbnail and go, oh, actually, I quite like this. This is interesting. And if you keep presenting content that people are willing to click on, then you can gain that credibility. So that's what we're talking about. It's gaining credibility with people who are likely to become fans in the future, for want of a better word. And I think it's much easier to do that on a platform like YouTube or other social media platform than it is in real life in this day and age. However, part of this is due to the fact that music is no longer really its own entity or its own thing. Music is just part of the media industry or the social media industry, whatever you want to call it. It's just another form of content. So if you are a musician and you want to get on and you want to create followers and fans, you really, really need to be creating content of which music is a part. And that is the difficult thing about all of this. So if you're in a band or you're an artist and you want to just create your music and just post it and that be the end of it, you're probably not going to have the level of success that you would want. You're going to have to create other content as well, which is going to support your profile, your brand, your personality, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and the music is an important part of that, but it's not the only part of that. Okay, so that kind of brings me to something which I've noticed on YouTube. So I am a big fan of YouTube I am a big fan of YouTube as a platform to get your work out there and so on. Obviously, it's the main platform that I use. I'm on Instagram as well, but I don't do very much on Instagram. I have a Facebook page. I do nothing on Facebook. YouTube is the place where I do the majority of my content. And if you've been following this channel for some time, you will notice that the type of content that I'm now producing is different. I spent most of the time that this channel has been in existence, albeit that there was a couple of years where I didn't do anything for a long time, but the majority of the content until quite recently has been music, and it has been instrumental videos of me playing with my modular synth. Some of those videos, or some of the music in those videos, is good, I think, hopefully. Some of it is probably not so good. But really, it's documented my journey from discovering modular synth up until now. Or it's documented my progression as a modular synth user. However, the majority of those videos don't get very many views. And I think the reason for that is whether the music is good or bad is irrespective. It's because YouTube really wants a certain kind of interaction on its platform. As soon as I started posting videos where I'm talking to the camera, like this one, the views that I started to get increased rapidly, and the result of that was also the number of subscribers that I get increased rapidly. Now, initially, a lot of those instrumental videos, so I could get anything from, I don't know, 50 views to 400 views on a video. You know, not that many would get in the hundreds. Probably the average would be 150 to 200 views. And I think the reason for that is because very early on, I figured that if I put in the title of the video the specific modules that I was using, excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough at the moment, people would click on those videos because they want to hear the sound of those modules. They're not necessarily interested in the music. They just want to hear what the sound of the modules is. I would see other videos posted by other artists where the production of the video was vastly superior to my videos. The musical content was amazing, and they'd be getting 20, 30 views. And I just think, why? These videos are amazing. They're brilliant. Why are people not watching them? They didn't have many subscribers, and the views were not there. And I think, that may well, even today, still be the case, that I will come across channels where the channel's obviously been going for some time, but is not necessarily getting a lot of views or a lot of subscribers, even though the videos that are there are brilliant. They're amazing, and a lot of effort has obviously been put into those videos. And I think it's because that, again, the interaction that you get from an instrumental music video is very different to the interaction that you get with a talking video. So an instrumental video, you're probably going to get 3 or 4 comments where people will say something like, "This is great, this is lovely," or "This sounds amazing," or whatever, and you will reply by saying, "Thank you, I'm really happy that you enjoyed my video," or something like that, and that's the end of it. Whereas a talking video like this, you're going to get people arguing with you, agreeing with you, offering their own point of view, but there's much greater interaction in the comments, and that's what YouTube wants. It wants people on the platform interacting. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you have to do talking videos? Maybe it does. And that's why I've started doing these type of videos, because I do want to grow this channel. I do want to get more subscribers and more views. I would like to eventually be able to earn some income from this channel. Not necessarily that, you know, I want to become a full-time YouTuber, but for a long time I've taught guitar lessons as a sort of well, for a period of my life it was my main job, but more recently it's become more of a sort of side income. That has kind of petered off a little bit now. Excuse me. But if I could replace that, oh, what's happened here? I think one of my lights is going dim. If I could replace that through doing YouTube, that would be great. You know, if I could replace that portion of my income through doing YouTube, that would be wonderful. I still intend to teach guitar lessons. I still do teach guitar lessons, but the number of people that come for guitar lessons now is drastically reduced compared to what I used to have. And a lot of my methods for attracting students don't work in the same way that they used to. So I don't get as many new students as I used to. So I want to grow this channel, and that's why I've started doing these talking videos. So I do think that if you are some kind of creative person, an artist, a musician, whatever it may be that you do, the best thing that you can do is to start a YouTube channel and start growing an audience that way. And you know, if you can get that channel monetized, that's great. But I think in order to do that, you probably are going to have to, at some point, start doing videos where you're talking about things and explaining things, and you know, talking about what you do. So you know, I'm not necessarily wanting to sort of set this channel up as a channel where I'm teaching people about modular synthesis, because I don't consider myself in a position where I can necessarily do that. I've been doing modular synthesis for about 4 years now. I've got a lot to learn really about modular synthesis, but what I am hoping is that I can sort of document my experience and share that with people, and that might inspire people, or you know, they can see how I'm doing things and try that out, or you know, I can learn from other people as well. Ultimately though, I think this is the best way that I can actually share the music that I'm creating with people who might be interested in listening to it, and also just share my experience and share my journey as a musician. And that is really what I think the music or not necessarily the music industry, but I think that's what's going to become important for working musicians in the future. The music is not necessarily going to be the most important product that comes from being a musician. I think it is more about the connection with people. It always has been, I suppose, about the connection with people, but that connection is going to be made online more so than in the real world. And if you can grow a following that's large enough, that may then transfer into the real world and enable you to do gigs and performances where you've now created a fan base of people, potentially all over the world, that will want to come out and see you or hear you talk, or whatever it is that you do. So I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this. If you are somebody who is who's doing a YouTube channel and you're a musician or a modular synth artist and you're creating music, what is your experience of getting views on your channel? Have you considered talking stuff to a camera? Maybe you don't care. You're not really that bothered. You just want to do your music and put it out there. Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a croak because I've been a little bit ill the last couple of days. Yeah, let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye-bye.